Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Teacher Development Webinars. My name is Amanullah Sand. I facilitate virtual programs at Teacher Development Webinars. Teacher Development Webinars is a social action project implemented by British Council Active Citizens in Pakistan as a response to COVID-19 crisis. It is an initiative to support teachers and educators around the world with professional development opportunities. We are thankful to Master English Training for sponsoring a Zoom account. And for our today's webinar, Entertaining a Positive School Culture, we'll be exploring how school directors and school leaders play a vital role in positive school culture. We'll look at developing a compelling and aligned vision, mission, goals, and values. And we'll see how positive school culture is strengthened and supported by effective, well-supported teachers and staff, high-quality curriculum, and transnational instruction. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. David Perrodin for this webinar. Mr. David Perrodin is an English language specialist at Mahidol University in Bangkok, Thailand. He has been deeply involved in English education for most of his 20 years as a teacher, examiner, teacher trainer in primary and secondary schools, universities, and language development centers across the globe. In addition to having acquired several prestigious teaching qualifications and certifications, he also holds a bachelor in secondary education with honors and a Master of Arts in teaching with honors, both with concentration in English. He is currently pursuing a PhD in applied linguistics for English language teaching at King Mogdar's University of Technology, Thornbury, Thailand. Thanks very much, David. We are pleased to have you here for today's webinar.
Hello, thank you.
Now you can go on and share your screen.
Okay, great. Wow, there are a bunch of people. Oh, hey, Russ. Hey, Russ. I'm waving at Russ.
Good afternoon. Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
My goodness. Yes. Okay. Well, let's get going. I'm going to finish this as quickly as possible. I would like for us to have some discussion and questions. That would be great for me. Okay. Let me start sharing my screen. Okay. All right.
Well, David, share the screen and you can share where are you from, what levels you teach, and yeah.
Sure. And please type any questions you might have, and I will get to those as soon as I am finished. Well, entertaining a positive school culture. Normally, I've read a lot of research about school cultures, and I haven't really seen the verb entertaining. And well, the reason why I chose entertaining a positive school culture, it's because a lot of people I've spoken to over the past few years, secondary schools and high schools, they want to have a positive school culture, but they tend to be, the individuals I speak with, they tend to believe in information that's not exactly true. Fallacies. They tend to have sometimes they have faulty reasoning, or they have a mistaken belief. And I was glad to be invited to do this webinar because I hope I can help you overcome some myths of positive school culture. Now, let me begin with a quote by Sir Ken Robinson. I miss him. He passed away recently, and he was one of the greatest minds in education. He said, the role of a creative leader is not to have all the ideas, but to create a culture in which everyone can have ideas and feels valued. Now, The reason why I begin with a quote by Sir Ken Robinson, it's because in many of the countries I visit, leadership is a unique concept. Many of the countries I visit are developing. So people in higher roles in education, they tend to fulfill the position of a boss who controls, who dominates, who orders. The definition of a leader is one who, by example, helps you understand what to do. He trains you. They train you, they orientate you, and they do create a culture in which everyone feels valued. And I'm often confronted with the response when I say, all right, guys, we are going to create a culture at this school to where everyone is heard, everyone feels valued, to where everyone wants to come to work, to where the teachers and the staff, they feel appreciated, and where the students feel welcomed by the teachers. And I often hear, well, that's not how our culture works. That's not how our school system works. And earlier when I mentioned fallacies, well, that is a fallacy. It is faulty reasoning or a mistaken belief. I tell school directors, look, you can have your whatever culture, the culture of your country or the culture of your nationality, and you can have integrity. You can be this nationality and you can create an environment where people feel welcome. You can be this nationality or this ethnicity and you can have a place to where teachers want to come to work, to where teachers feel that they are a part of the family. You can be this nationality or a member of this culture. And as the school director, you can make your rounds, you can walk around the school and find things that people are doing right. And these ideas, I'm often told these are Western ideas that sometimes in some cultures, pointing out the things that people do wrong, it is considered more productive. Well, that's we're going to look at that in just a moment. Now, I was introduced earlier. Yes, that's me. I've been in Asia for a long time. I've traveled to many countries and I visited hundreds of schools and universities and language centers. So today I will speak with you based on research and based on my observations. Okay, now we know research. Research should have a goal. Research should have a goal to add something to the English language teaching area or arena or scope. And research, sound research that can be replicated or duplicated is considered good research. So what I am going to speak with you, what I'm going to speak to you about today is just some very simple concepts on how to build a positive school culture, regardless of your nationality or regardless of your ethnicity. Now, my research background, I spend most of my time researching something about English language teaching, second language acquisition, or teacher knowledge in education. And I have had the opportunity over the past couple of years to research positive school culture. And I was not surprised that these four research areas that I predominantly have studied, they all fit together rather well, especially teacher knowledge and education. Now, our focus for today is we're going to look at well-designed research findings, well-designed research that has been shown to work if applied. We're going to try to do away with some of the myths about positive school culture. Like I mentioned earlier, oh my goodness, I'm often having to defend positive school culture against these fallacies, just because it's our nationality, or just because it's our ethnicity, or just because it's our culture, we can't do this. Well, creating a safe environment, a productive environment for teachers, staff, and students, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter your culture. My goodness, we are all humans. People need to be treated with some modicum of respect. That doesn't have anything to do with culture. That is humanity. Now, we're going to look very quickly at some research that comes from the fields of education, psychology, and neuroscience. Like I said, creating a positive school culture is about making people feel wanted, people feel needed, and making people feel appreciated. Now, we will be able to draw some implications for your schools from this presentation. And I believe these slides will be made available to you. If not, you should take pictures. So let's go. Now, I adapted this image here, and I would like for you to see. Circling the image is strong school leadership and planning. Now, strong school leadership and planning, that means that the leader, not the boss, the leader is responsible for the school. The leader, the school director, the school principal, the school committee, whatever your school has, is responsible for that school. And they are responsible for the outcomes. They are responsible for setting the vision, and they are responsible for planning, all planning. Now, let's begin on the left side, effective, well-supported teachers. I'm going to go into a little bit more information about this, but I found that teachers tend to be better teachers. Now, I know that is subjective, but the word better means, are they reaching their students? Or are they able to communicate the information to the student and help the student realize how to take the information and use that information? We often hear that teachers share knowledge. No, come on. Look, I can take this, I can take my iPhone and get all the knowledge that I desire. The teacher simply shares information, but the teacher helps me as the student understand how to use that information, understand how to find more information. And the teacher helps the student understand how to take opaque information that is not clear to the student, and how to make that information clear and help the student use that information. High quality curriculum. High quality curriculum is very important. I'm not talking about the curriculum from your Ministry of Education. I'm talking about the curriculum that the school has inside the school setting. Now, every Ministry of Education or every education administration, whatever you have, countrywide, statewide, provincial, office-wide, it doesn't matter. That curriculum has to be approved, but that curriculum really doesn't do anything without the proper instruction. Now, transnational instruction. I chose to include the word transnational because I'm often told that, well, we need to focus on our local culture, on our local language, on our local heritage. Yeah, sure. Absolutely, absolutely. You would not want to forget who you are and where you came from, but you also have to prepare your students for a global economy, for a worldwide economy. Your little neck of the woods, your little area, it's fine. I understand, but the truth is, we have a globalized society, and if your students are not familiar with other cultures, other languages, other ways of doing business, then when they do have the opportunity to travel to another country, because you chose to not focus some on transnationalism, your students will not be prepared. And again, that is the responsibility of the director to lead you as teachers, to support you, to train you, and to provide you with curriculum and to help you learn how that curriculum works. All these things create a positive school culture. And a positive school culture is very easy. Positive, uplifting, virtuous. School, the education setting, and the culture, the way people behave, what we think, what we do, what we wear, how we speak. So, strong school leadership and planning. Effective school administrative leaders with clear roles and responsibilities develop, implement, and monitor focused improvement plans that address the needs of the school. Well, I have had the opportunity of meeting with school leadership, oh my goodness, many times. And sometimes school leaders believe that they know the best for their school, but then they call people such as myself and my dear friend Russ. He is one of the participants on this webinar. Wow, Russ is amazing. Russ travels all over Thailand, and before the COVID-19 lockdown, he was traveling all over Asia. Russ is by far one of the best consultants I have met. I'm not putting in a plug for Russ. I'm just telling you that Russ has seen what school leadership can do if the school leaders listen to reason, and he's also seen what happens when school leaders do not listen to reason. And I have had the opportunity to be the consultant for university presidents, school directors, principals, deans, teacher, the head of the teacher departments, department heads, so many things. And they call me as a consultant to help them develop their programs. And I have one rule. You hire me to help you find the weaknesses and the strengths in your school. And you hire me to help you make the strengths better, more streamlined, and to change and to turn the weaknesses into strengths. And when you think you know better, or when you argue about simple things, I leave. There's no use me wasting my time. So school leaders must have open minds. They must understand that the research is there to support them and their schools. And it's the duty of the school administrators to make their school as comfortable as possible for students, teachers, and staff. Now, I wanted to include this picture here. When I think of positive school culture and when I think of leadership, I think of this picture right here. Everyone works together as a family. The foreign teachers in the schools, it doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter what country, what nationality, what language they speak. Everyone is equally important. And I hope one day the English language teaching realm would see that everyone, all foreign teachers, regardless of their nationality, ethnicity, are all important. equally important. So when I look at schools, I look for this. I look for diversity and inclusion. And I look for schools that have the foreign teachers placed in the school at the same area as the local teachers, to where the foreign teachers are treated as respectfully as the local teachers, to where the community sees the foreign teacher as an asset, see them as a valued part of that school, not just a token or a showcase teacher. Now, effective, well-supported teachers. Oh my goodness, I don't know how many times I have spoken with school leaders that strategically recruiting, selecting, and assigning teachers, building the capacity of the teachers so that all students have access to high quality educators. You know, I go to some schools and I ask, how many days of orientation you give to your teachers? You would be surprised at how many schools tell me none. Oh, nothing. We just hire them, throw them in the class, and then the school leadership complains about the teacher. Well, let me tell you something. You must develop your teachers. Please, when you hire a new teacher, help that teacher understand how the school works. Introduce the teacher to the students, to the other teachers, to the staff, and by all means, always introduce the teachers to the supporting staff, the security guards, the housekeepers. Please, please support everyone. Now, introduce the teacher to anyone that the teacher will be working with on a daily basis. If you have a teaching coordinator, okay, for instance. Now, teachers must be trained to teach the subjects. They must also be trained on how the school works. You cannot expect a teacher to understand the society or the politics or how the school runs unless you tell that teacher. Please do not expect the teacher to come in one day and know everything about the school. And make your school into a transnational school and international school. Like myself, I have been living in Thailand for almost a decade and a half, a very long time. And I still make cultural faux pas. I still do not understand all the intricacies about the Thai culture. But you know, at where I work, everyone understands. How can someone expect me as a non-Thai national to understand culture that takes a lifetime to build? Now, think, in your school, you have to understand that your teachers, they are your guests. Sure, they work at your school, but prepare them, train them, introduce them to the culture, the language, whatever they need to help them fit in and feel like part of the family. Now, I have some ideas. Like I said, I have been in Thailand for almost a decade and a half, and during my time in Asia, I have traveled to 16 countries, and I have shared my ideas and my observations. Now, I'm absolutely set that you need high quality curriculum. You absolutely need a high quality curriculum. The teachers need assessments and resources to help the students engage in learning at the appropriate levels of challenge. I find so many times that schools do not have this in place. They do not have high curriculum in place, high quality curriculum, sorry. And they depend on the teachers to create assessments and the teachers to create resources. Sure, fine. The teachers assist in assessments and resources, yes. But if you want high quality curriculum, standard curriculum. It has to be the responsibility of the school to create all these things. And the school has to create all of these, the assessments and the resources. The school has to provide, the school has to create if the school wants to keep the same standard. Now, of course, with the feedback of the teachers, the school will adjust their assessments and they will refine their resources, absolutely. But it's the responsibility of the school. And if the school director is leaning on the teachers to create all these things, he or they are misguided. It's the responsibility of the leadership. Now, I tell all my school directors and school leaders that, look, if you look at evidence-based practices, the best available evidence, ongoing assessment, and teacher expertise, if you look at evidence-based practices, then you can continually adjust your curriculum and make your curriculum better. And when you do that, we come to transnational instruction. Now, once the leaders have developed the teachers and they have developed the curriculum, high quality curriculum, then that's where we take the teachers who are well trained and the high quality curriculum, and we help the teachers in instructing the students. Now, the instruction must be challenging, of course. That's how we learn, when we are challenged. We are challenged when we have background knowledge, but it's not exactly enough to do a task. We have background knowledge, but our background knowledge must be developed with more information added to that knowledge. Sure, if something is difficult, that means the student lacks the background knowledge. If something is challenging, that means the student has background knowledge, just not enough, or that background knowledge needs to be developed for that student to be able to achieve that task. Now, objective-driven daily lessons and classroom routines and formative assessments, sure, my goodness. These things yield data that helps me as a teacher to reflect upon my teaching, adjust my teaching, and to deliver the instruction in a different way that meets the needs of the students. Sure, but I, as a teacher, cannot get to this point unless I am developed and provided with curriculum. And those things depend upon the school leadership. And developing, creating, engaging in a positive school culture must be the responsibility of the leadership. Let me tell you this, where I work, my director, when she invites me to her office, like for my annual evaluation or to discuss projects or research, she always asks me how I'm doing. And she listens. She listens. She asks my opinion about research, about anything she wants to talk about. She asks first, then we discuss. That is a leader. She asks. She doesn't tell, she asks. Can you imagine speaking with your school director and saying, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, I have this idea. And that director says, wow, that sounds like a great idea. Why don't you put together a summary? Let me read over it, then we can talk about it soon. Wow, wouldn't that be nice if school directors would do that? Ask, how are you doing? Make the rounds, tell teachers what they are doing right. And you know, I have a rule with my students. I call it the 3-1. My students, I always find 3 things that they are doing well. 3 things that they are doing well. And 1 thing that needs improvement. but I always start with the three things. Wow, this is great. This job you are doing, your writing skill is getting so much better. I think we only need to help develop this one thing. Yeah. And you know, it creates a positive class culture. So I would like to see more education leaders create a positive school culture. And they do that by developing their teachers, developing the curriculum, and having transnational instruction, introducing students to other cultures, other languages. And look, believe me, you can be whatever ethnicity or whatever nationality you want. And just because you learn English or you learn Mandarin or you learn French or you learn Spanish, that doesn't mean you stop being your culture. And these languages, they're just tools. That's all they are. They are just tools. They are tools to help your students become successful in the future. They're not intimidating, they're not scary, and they're not going to take away from your culture. Your culture has been there for hundreds or thousands of years. Do you think learning English is going to make them less your nationality? I hope not. So, look, transnational instruction is very important. There has to be international lessons integrated. But it's kind of difficult to do a lesson about snow when your students have lived in a moderate or hot climate all their lives. Do lessons where the students can understand, where they can relate, but help your students gain a more international way of thinking. Help them break free from whatever limited mindset that they have. Help them become more globalized citizens. You want them to be successful and you want them to be developed. And this way of thinking starts with the leadership of your school. Can you imagine every day if your school director says, okay, today we're going to look at, or this month we're going to look at this country, or this week we're going to look at this country. Teachers, I would like for you to try to incorporate a little bit of information about this country into your lessons. Just help your students understand. See? Now, one thing that I would like to tell you is this map right here. I love this picture. If you notice the representation of the world is a puzzle, and every country, every nationality, every belief, every religion, every language fits together. And in this, without diversity, we wouldn't have the wonderful world we have. But our world is getting smaller. Technology is making our world smaller. So we need to also focus on how to include everyone in this one big global society. And we do that by changing our mindset. We have to understand, to create a positive school culture, that, look, we're different. There's no culture that's the perfect culture. There's no right or wrong. We're just different. And if we can see that we are different, and if we can appreciate the differences and the similarities, then just imagine how wonderful our schools would be. If we can help the foreign teachers feel like family, if we can help exchange students feel like family, wow, wouldn't that be a wonderful place to work? Now, here is positive school culture in a nutshell. Positive school culture requires compelling and aligned vision, mission, goals, and values. And all these things come from the directors, come from the school leaders. This all comes from the leadership. So just recently, I was discussing information, the positive school culture, with a teacher from an Asian country. I'm not going to tell you where, but it was an Asian country. And the teacher asked me my advice about teaching English. And I told that teacher that I would rather not give you advice. I would rather give you research findings. I find that my opinion, if it's based on research, then it's difficult for me to have faulty reasoning. So I like to base my opinion on research plus generalized observations. Okay. So this teacher said that when my students first come to class, when they first are exposed to learning English, and I'm using English because that's what I teach. Okay, so that's what I know. This teacher said that when the students first begin learning English, she focuses on grammar and pronunciation. I said, okay, fine. And have you had success? She said, no. And how long have you been teaching? Well, she has been teaching for many, many years. And I said, well, if you continue to do the same thing again and again and again, you will have the same results. And if you expect different results, then I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. So I gave some suggestions to her on how to focus more on fluency and less on accuracy. Allow the students to use the language to complete tasks. And she says, well, what happens if the students make a mistake? Yeah, what happens? Nothing. Let them make that mistake. Unless the mistake hampers communication, worry about it. And she said, no. She has to correct all the mistakes of her students. I said, okay, well, you and I have been having a 15-minute conversation, and you are an English teacher for 20 years. Would you like me to give to you a list of all the mistakes that you have made in our short conversation? And she was a little disgruntled. I said, okay, first of all, your subject-verb agreement in this was off. Your pronunciation here, you simply did not pluralize here when you should have pluralized. You had this and this and this. She was furious. She was furious. How dare you correct my mistakes? I am an English teacher. Yeah. How does it feel to constantly being told that you're doing wrong? See, positive school culture, the key word is positive. Positive school culture is finding things that people are doing right, making people feel special. And one of the goals of the school has to be where people come to school, the teachers, the students, and the staff, and they're happy to be there. And the community and the family see this. And the school gets a reputation for its academic prowess, sure, absolutely. But the school gets a reputation because teachers want to be there and students want to be there. And when the students leave that school, they can produce. They have knowledge and understanding and wisdom. That is positive school culture, a place of care, a place of love, and a place of honor. So now, I wanted this right here to be my last slide. Time for change, open-mindedness. Now, I know I said, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your nationality, regardless of your religion, regardless of your language, regardless of your culture, none of that has to have a bearing on positive school culture. Positive school culture is where people feel welcome. People feel welcomed. Now, just imagine, how does it feel if you would go into your school and your school director would say, hey, Mr. David, good morning. Are we doing okay today? Oh yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How long was that exchange? 4 seconds? Imagine that director smiling and patting the backs of children and shaking the hands. Okay, well, not now, it's COVID, yeah. But, or just saying, hey, hello, and actually sincerely responding. Would you just love to work at that place? Yes. When people ask me, well, how can we create a positive school culture when this factor or this factor comes into play? And you know, most of the time I have found whatever objection the directors give to me or the principals give to me, they're just fallacy. They're faulty reasoning or they are mistaken beliefs. Look, you know, in most schools in Thailand, for instance, you have female teachers. Absolutely. And the female teachers and the male teachers, it doesn't matter the gender, support them the same. Young teachers, old teachers, it doesn't matter, support them the same. Local teachers, foreign teachers, support them all the same. Look, if you want to have a positive school culture, start your day with a smile. Start your day with a hello. Start your day with, wow, you're doing great. If there's anything you need, let me know. School directors, open door policy. Oh my goodness, open door policy. I have a rule. I give my phone number to everyone. Everyone. I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. I have thousands and thousands of connections around the world. Everyone has my phone number. Everyone has my WhatsApp, my line, my email, everything. Because I have a belief that I am always accessible to you. And you know, the truth is, I'm very seldom contacted about things other than something that I have to do, something about work. People very seldom call me with problems because they know I am available and they don't want to abuse that privilege they respect. And this leads me to my final point. I have a strong opinion that if you respect me, I respect you. And if I respect you, you respect me. We work together. I honor you, you honor me. And if school directors could understand that you must honor your teachers and they honor you, if your teachers follow you, not obey, if they follow you, they will respect you. I would hate to work at a school to where when the director or the principal walks around the school, people hide in fear. I would much prefer to work in a school where the director walks by and people smile, wave, say hello. That's positive school culture. So I'm finished. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I think it should be time to take some questions. So, okay.
Thanks very much, David. It was an entertaining session and so many positive thoughts about developing a positive school culture. We appreciate that. And now the floor is open for questions. If you have any questions from David, you are more than welcome. You can put them in the chat box and I'll be monitoring the Facebook chat as well. So yeah. Let me see if there are questions in the chat box. So someone says we are experiencing lack of own culture awareness among our students as English is their strength and their native language is their weak area. So how do you see this attitude for native culture?
So I'm looking for the question. What is it again? Sorry.
It said, let me go to the question again. We are experiencing a lack of our own cultural awareness among our students as English is their strength and the native language is their weak area. So they are more
Oh,
knowledgeable about English culture. So
oh,
how? Yeah,
oh, beautiful. You know, just 2 weeks ago, I had this exact same discussion. Um, there is a technique, if you would like to call it that, called languaging, ing, languaging. Ing, it's a verb, right? Present continuous, you're doing something, actively doing something. Well, students in Thailand have very little knowledge of Thai culture. Um, when you ask questions of students, just very simple, common questions. Why this? What is the reason for this? 97% of the students have no idea. When you ask the students a question about their culture or their religion or anything, they have very, very little knowledge of why or the reason for. They can tell you that it is not polite, or they can tell you this is Thailand or this is Thai culture, but that's it. That is the extent of their explanation. Now, um, I found that language teachers, English teachers, you can help your students learn their own culture. Now, I tell this to foreign teachers all the time. Help your students learn about their culture. And how can you do that? Well, I have my students make presentations to me, or I have my students explain a fairly abstract culture construct to me in English. And sure, my Thai students will read Thai. They will research about this particular culture, part of culture in Thai. Absolutely. But they have to write about it in English, and they have to present to me in English to where I can understand that cultural construct. So if your students are lacking knowledge about their own culture, yeah, that's the parents' fault. It's not your fault. It's the parents' fault. So either your school helps educate the parents in their own local culture, and the parents help instill that local culture in their children, or you, as an English teacher, for instance, have your students do some projects or presentations or conversations about things from their culture. And they learn about their culture, and they also learn how to use English. So,
great. So we
yeah.
have another question from Govinda. He says, how can we minimize the gap between teachers and students? I mean, nowadays students do not feel easy with teachers. So, any suggestions
Oh,
on that?
oh yeah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Closing the gap. Oh yeah. You know, I uh I've I've said this so many times. When I walk into a class, my students smile. They they are happy. They feel free. But when one of the local teachers walk into the class, they feel closed off. They feel intimidated. And it's because the the distance between the student and the teacher, you have, as a teacher, you have to close that gap. You have to create a proximity around your students. Look, walk around the classroom. Tell the students they're doing a great job. Encourage the student to speak or to do some sort of task, and celebrate with that student. Look, when you walk and you pass by one of my classes, it doesn't matter if it's secondary or tertiary, bachelor, master's, PhD, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be laughter. And there's always going to be, you walk in there and you see people talking, and you see people communicating, and you see people asking questions, because I create a safe space. That's how you close the gap between teachers and students. Create a safe
Great.
space.
So Isra asks, what if the teachers are not open and very
Oh.
fond of idea of a positive culture?
Oh, is that Isra? Isra? Yes, I
Yes,
see.
yes, Isra. Yeah.
Okay, Isra. Listen to me very clearly, my friend. Someone asked this question just last month. What if the teachers are not open or very fond of positive culture? I have one answer and one answer only. Give that teacher two choices. Number one, either develop yourself, or number two, find another job. It's that simple. Because people who believe in demanding, controlling, dominating, telling their students that they are stupid, that they are dumb, that they are wrong, those people are narcissists. They are in the position of a teacher just so they can feel powerful. And they use their students as their minions, as to show dominion over their students. Yeah, those people should not wear the mantle of teacher. So if they're not open or very fond, give them the opportunity to be developed. And if they don't want to be developed, replace them. Sorry, Isra.
Then how do you see, no. Then how do you see this idea of, having privacy? We talk about, everyone having privacy. So, this is not humanly possible to be available for anyone 24/7. Teachers need a break too. So, any ideas on that? Your thoughts on that?
Oh, privacy. Yeah. Well, since I have been here on this webinar for what, the past, let me see, past 50 minutes, I have received 17 calls or messages. 17. You didn't hear my phone ring. You didn't hear the messages because I turn it off. I silence my phone and I have my time. If you send a message to me and if it is past, let's say 9 p.m., it's going to sit until the next day. I manage my time. And so if someone is complaining about privacy, well, maybe they don't know where is the off button on their phone. So sorry.
And an important question, and that we like-minded people. So how do you encourage diversity or different thoughts?
Oh yeah, I tell everyone when I go to when I am offered to consult at a school, I walk into that school first. I walk into that school and I just start going around greeting people. Hey, hello, good morning. How is it going? And the support staff, the housekeepers, the gardeners, the security guards, I always take them to the local coffee shop or drink shop inside that school. And I always buy something for them to drink. Okay, what does it do? It costs me in US dollars, $5. Okay, but I create a rapport and I show the person that everyone thinks is at the bottom of the social ladder. I show them that they are important. And then what happens, other people, the teachers see that I am showing importance to who they consider the low class. And I treat everyone the same, And I tell the school directors to look at me, see what I'm doing, treating everyone the same, creating an impression that this is an equal working environment. So you will never change the way someone thinks by logic alone. You have to change the way someone thinks you change their worldview and their opinion by actions. Let them see you. Let them witness you do great things for people. Let them hear you telling the teachers that they're doing a great job. That you openly and personally speak to Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so teacher, and you tell them, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, wow, you're doing a great job. I really like this. And you tell them in front of their students, and then that will start creating a new atmosphere in your school. So,
Great.
yeah.
So, let us be this close on these remarks and these thoughts is wonderful, appreciating and acknowledging everyone around us. Thanks for your presence, David. It's really pleasure having you today at Teacher Development Webinars. For our future webinars, you can join social media channels. We are available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and this recording for the webinar will be made available on a YouTube channel later this evening, so you can rewatch, if you are not able to join us live for this webinar. Thanks everyone, thanks for your participation, and world is celebrating International Volunteers Day today, so happy Volunteers Day. And Teacher Development Webinar is also a volunteer project to support teachers with professional development opportunities and these great ideas about cultivating a positive school environment. Hope you liked today's webinar. Thanks very much. I would like to remind you at this point that COVID-19 cases have been on rise these days. Please practice physical distancing, keep wearing masks, and don't forget social solidarity. Take care, everyone. Be safe. Thanks for your participation.